Hey there, and welcome to Horror Trivia Saturday, the series where I dig into the strange, true, and often ironic stories that happen behind the scenes of horror's most unforgettable films. Now, this isn't just about trivia, it's about understanding why filmmakers make the choices they do and how those choices shape fear. Today's episode is about a movie that asked one of horror's most dangerous questions and then deliberately chose not to like the answers. Released in 1990, Flatliners revolves around a group of medical students who decide to experiment with death. They stop their hearts, they bring themselves back, and they discover that something follows them afterward. It's a premise that feels grounded in science, white coats, hospitals, medical jargon, which makes the horror feel disturbingly plausible. But here's the twist that most people don't know. The filmmakers actually consulted real medical experts while developing the story. So here's today's Horror Trivia Saturday question. Did Flatliners follow the real medical science of death, resurrection, and near-death experiences? The answer is not really, and that was intentional. Medical consultants explained several key realities to the filmmakers. Brain damage begins within minutes of cardiac arrest. Resurrection is chaotic, unpredictable, and often unsuccessful. And near-death experiences vary widely and don't follow clean narrative rules. There's no medical evidence for personalized supernatural punishment. In short, real death is messy, random, and rarely cinematic. And that was a problem because Flatliners didn't want randomness. It wanted meaning. If Flatliners had followed medical realism, characters would likely suffer permanent damage, many experiments would simply fail, and there would be no escalating personal consequences. That version of the story isn't terrifying, it's clinical. Now, horror thrives on cause and effect, on the feeling that you did something wrong and now you must pay for it. Real science doesn't offer that kind of structure. So the filmmakers made a choice. They used medicine as a framework, not a rule book. Rather than realism, Flatliners leans into psychological and moral horror. Each character is haunted by manifestations of guilt tied to their past actions. This turns death into a gateway, not to medical consequences, but to unresolved trauma. The movie isn't asking, what happens when the heart stops? It's asking what happens when you try to outrun what you've done. That shift only works if the science steps out of the way. By ignoring strict medical accuracy, Flatliners achieves something more unsettling. Death becomes symbolic rather than procedural. Consequences feel personal instead of statistical, and fear comes from memory and guilt, not diagnosis. The horror isn't dying, the horror is coming back and realizing you brought something with you. That's a far more effective fear than any realistic medical outcome. This is a great example of a core horror storytelling rule. Accuracy is optional, emotional truth is not. Horror often borrows the language of science, religion, or history, but it reshapes those systems to serve fear. Flatliners isn't wrong about medicine. It's simply not interested in being right. And that decision is exactly why the movie still works decades later. So here's the question to leave you with. Is horror more effective when it sticks closely to reality or when it abandons accuracy to explore something deeper? Because Flatliners argues that the scariest consequences aren't physical, they're psychological. Now, if you enjoy deep dives like this into horror history, filmmaking choices, and storytelling psychology, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and it tells me you want more episodes like this every Saturday. And if you're a writer or creator, I also break down storytelling techniques like this every week on my Substack with practical writing tips, craft advice, and lessons pulled straight from horror history that you can actually use. So, until next time, respect the unknown, think twice before crossing lines you can't uncross, and remember, Some experiments are terrifying precisely because we choose to run them.